My fellow Nerdicans, welcome back to another episode of the Jank Tank. Today we've got a deck profile of the winning deck from our last video, and it is going to be SSB Vegeta Spirit Boost Elite. Shout out to Davidson TCG for this super sweet custom leader. It's one of the, actually it is the first custom leader I ever bought, and I absolutely love it still to this day. So for those who don't know, because this is a pretty old leader, it is a starter deck though. On the front side, when you attack, you draw a card and get to plus 5k to your leader. And to awaken, you either have to be at 4 life or have a unison with a specified cost of 2 on the board. And then you get to restand 2 energy and awaken. On the awaken side, you get to draw on swing and then give your unison with no keyword skills double strike. And then the second auto to Spirit Boost, if your unison gets attacked, you get to negate, you Spirit Boost 1, negate the attack, and your unison gets plus 6k until the end of the turn. So let's just go ahead and get right into the deck. For the unison that we're running, it used to be the Piccolo Jr. unison. I really wish that we could get that back or something similar to it back. But I run the Masked Saiyan Avenger from Another Dimension. The Gogeta unison does work as well, the SS4 Gogeta, but I like having the draw power, the consistent draw power over when you play it, you get to search the top 3 for a red card. But this one, you +1, and you can choose up to one drop from your deck to place in your drop area, and you shuffle your deck, draw a card. Has a permanent for every Saiyan on the board. During your turn, it gets plus 1k for the power, and then -2, you draw a card, and all your Saiyans with energy cost of 3 or less get plus 5k for the turn. But honestly, even in the deck that unison's meant for, I don't really use that ability all that often anyway, so the only 1-drop we're running in the deck is Son Gohan Ultimate Essence, and that's because he searches the top 5 for a 4-drop or less Universe 7 or a 2-cost unison. And with how important this having a unison on board is to this deck, you want to have as many options to get a unison out there, because you don't want to run too many unisons and then have a bunch of dead cards in your hand. So you want to be able to search out your unisons as much as possible. And then only 2 costs that we're running is our super combo, Backbone of Universe 7. It's really nice because it is searchable with the Gohan, and you can use it at 5 life, which I forgot to mention when you awaken on the leader. If you're awakening early, you go down to 5 life when you restand 2 energy. So immediately when you awaken, this super combo is live, which is another reason why I'm running it, outside of it also being searchable by Gohan, as well as Whis. Now Whis has the same ability as Gohan, but it's got a permanent that if your leader is a red Vegeta, you reduce this card's energy cost by 1. So, I mean, not by 1, by 2. So it does the same exact thing as Gohan here, except for Gohan's second auto, which I never use anyway, so that part doesn't really matter at all. And then if we're going up against anything that has barrier, we're running Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Spirit Mentor, 3 copies of it. It's got Deflect and Barrier, pay 3 energy, minus something by 30k, ignoring barrier. And then when it is in rest mode, you can Spirit Boost 1 and give your leader, activate battle, give your leader plus 5k for the battle. It is a is it once per turn or is it limit 1? It's once per turn. So that can definitely come in helpful, especially since you do want to do some spirit boosting. Not a ton, because you do want to keep your unison on the board, but there are a few ways to spirit boost in this deck, and the reason that we're wanting to do that is because we're running 2 copies of Surprise Attack Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and he is just like Surprise Attack Frieza, except when you spirit boost, you can, or when you remove a marker using spirit boost, you can play him out for free. Just like the Surprise Attack Frieza, once something gets KO'd, you can play it out for free. Speaking of Frieza, we're running 3 copies of Frieza Fairweather Fiend. This card, when you combo with it, you can pay 2 energy and play it out. And then it's got an auto. Oh wait, what happens when you play it? Oh, that's it. So it's a 20k double striker, and it's got an auto that once per turn, he also has unique. If your opponent uses a counter skill, you get to minus something by 30k, ignoring barrier. So that's more barrier removal, but it's not as consistent of barrier removal and not as safe, because this Vegeta does have deflect and barrier, so he is going to stay on the board, but Frieza does do multiple removals if it stays on the board. Speaking of removal, we're running 3 copies of Defeating the Demon. I mean, removal, defense, and aggression all in one card. You can't really beat it, and that's one of one of the few cards in this deck that I'm running that isn't actually Universe 7, because this Vegeta is a Universe 7 leader, and I do kind of like to try and keep my decks as thematic as possible, because it's more fun for me that way. We're running 3 copies of Frieza Imperial Inspiration, because it helps with pressure, because we do have so many decent sized swings as well as double strike swings. We've got these 2 double strikers, and then we've got a couple more double strikers coming up that I'm about to show you guys. Having the ability to pay 1 to give your battle card or leader critical just comes in really, really handy. And if you watch the gameplay video, excuse me, if you watch the gameplay video, because I comboed with Frieza, it actually forced Tommy to combo away his whole hand because he didn't want to take the double strike crit damage. And then we, getting into the next card, we're running 4 copies of Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Pure Blood Sparking. This card is absolutely snapped. It is the card that I used in conjunction with Frieza in order to seal the win. If your leader is red or a Universe 7 card, you get to play it out for 3 energy, and when it's played or attacks, you get to minus the battle card by 20k, and if the card that gets minus by 20k gets removed from the battlefield, Vegeta gains double strike for the turn. So if you remove a battle card from the field from him being played, he's a 30k dual attack double striker, and then you combo with the Frieza to make it dual attack double strike crit for the 1. And if you have more than 1 of these in your hand, which I didn't, unfortunately, at the end of the game, but it didn't really matter because I ended up sealing it away anyway. But the idea, which is why we're running 3 copies of this, is when you get the Vegeta out on the board, to have 2 of these bad boys in your pocket, and then you just swing in with them, and it's brutal. Moving on to the next card, we're running 3 copies of Indomitable Might. That's more board removal and some hand control. 30k double strike. If you have 3 red Saiyans, red or black Saiyans, but it's only going to be red in this deck that really matter, but 3 red Saiyans in your energy or present on your battlefield, you can play them out for 3, and then your opponent warps a card from hand, and then you minus 2 cards on the board by 30k. Doesn't ignore barrier, but it is good board removal. Getting into even more board removal, this is board wipe territory right here, and it's multi-purpose in this deck. I might actually bump this back up to 3. I was running it at 3 for a long time, but I wanted to try some stuff out. But every time I cut this down, I remember how important it is to how this deck actually functions. But what you do is you slip it under your Unison, which is its activate main right there. Slip it under your Unison. It's going to add a marker to the Unison, and then you pay 3 energy to play it out from underneath your Unison. And once it's played out from underneath your Unison, you can Spirit Boost 3 and minus your opponent's board by 30k. And it gains triple attack. So it's pressure, board removal, and helps to buff up your Unison to make it so your Unison stays on board. And then for another boss card, I know we have a fairly decent amount of boss cards already, but for a final finisher, if what I have on the board doesn't already take care of the job, running 2 copies of Son Goku Ultra Mastery, because this is also board removal. If you have 10 or more Universe 7 cards in your drop area, you play it out for 4, and you minus your opponent's board by, I think it's 35k? Yeah, by 35k. Doesn't ignore barrier, but that's fine. But if you also meet Sparking 20, when it attacks, you also get to do the same ability as Broly Crown of Retribution. So, it's a really, really late game card that you don't typically end up using, but it is nice to have in your back pocket if you need it. And then for the SCR, we're running Vegeta, just because it's nice having that burn damage, and it's on theme. It's the best red SCR that I own, so why not run it? And since we are running the Spirit Boost deck, running 2 copies of Universe 7 United. It is a counterattack, but I never use it for the counterattack. The reason I'm running this is for the Spirit Boost ability. Limit 1 Spirit... it's for the Spirit Boost, and then you get to give your leader or Unison card plus 10k for the battle, and it's an activate battle. So if you're swinging in with the Unison, and say you have a Gohan, this Vegeta, and this Vegeta on the board, so your Unison's already an 18k double strike because you've already swung with your leader, because you always swing with your leader first in this deck, and then throw this on top, then bam, all of a sudden it's a 28k double strike swing. Unfortunately, the Frieza doesn't work with unisons. It's only leader cards or battle cards, but it is still a pretty toxic addition to the deck, in my opinion. And then for the last of our counter attack package, we're running 4 copies of Unending Awakening because it is a red Saiyan. A lot of people still run Imposing Presence because you do have the option to play it for free, but I like Unending Awakening more because it does being your leader, and in conjunction with Explosive Dance, that means that they're going to have to swing into it. If you use an Unending Awakening and then an Explosive Dance, that means your opponent's going to have to swing with at least a 20k in order to deal any damage, which means they're going to have to pop at least 20k power out of their Z energy. And a lot of decks, most of the things that they charge as their Z energy have really low power levels, so they're going to have to pop a lot of their Z energy. So the combination of these two, and more often than not, I find will end up locking your opponent out of a lot of their aggression. And then we're running 2 copies of 10 times Kamehameha Mighty Blast because it is added defense, added pressure, and you need a red extra card on the field in order to get Explosive Dance's Floodgate effect. I have considered bumping this up to 3 in this deck, but I don't really see the need, because if I'm using 3 of those, then I'm probably already losing the match anyway. I'm running 2 copies of Defender of Life just for some extra burn, extra double strike pressure. Running 2 copies of Rush Attack Vegeta. I don't really ever play him in this deck because of the lack of Z energy charging. This deck does charge some Z energy, but a lot of it, like, he doesn't charge it super fast, so you're picking one or another of your Z battle cards, and a lot of times he isn't going to get his full ability because you don't have enough Z energy. 1 copy of Universal Onslaught because it is a deflect barrier dual attack 20k. None of the other abilities matter because I don't play with the skillless deck. It's meant for the skillless Gohan. And then running 1 copy of Impeccable Defense because it is a barrier blocker. Excuse me, not deflect blocker, barrier blocker. And yeah, there's only 1 of each of these because typically you're only going to play one or the other. You're not going to play both. And then just for filter ability, if I'm not seeing my unison or whatnot, 2 copies of Surmounting in case I need to filter through my deck at all. But that is the deck profile. If you like what you see, go ahead and smash that like button, comment, and subscribe. And stay nerdy.